you're a brother and she's a sister, then God did not join brother and sister in marriage in the 21st century. Certainly he did do that like in the time of Genesis, but that's a totally different story. Right? So it wouldn't take any time. It would just be produce your birth certificates, you both have the same mom, you both have the same dad. Yeah, this is over immediately. Another one that could take instant is, I'm going to be mean to you, Frank, but it's only in pretend. Frank meets this lovely lady, Sarah, and he goes and he is dating Sarah and he marries Sarah. But then at some point it comes out, wait, Frank, you're a happily married man. Sarah is your second wife. Instantly, that second marriage can be declared null because Frank is a married man. He can't have two wives. God is not going to going to allow. So as soon as we produce the paperwork, here's his first original marriage certificate, and we look at, is your wife still alive? Yes, she is. Well, then you can't, this marriage is null. It's empty. It's done. From the beginning, it never happened. Civilly, did it happen? Well, somehow some judge made a mistake, because that's one of the questions they're supposed to ask you, is, are you already married? But if the judge forgot to ask, something went wrong, or you just lied, once it's discovered, that marriage will instantly be declared null. So it depends on how long it takes to discover why the nullity is there. Sometimes it's a lot harder to discover that. You know, one of the things that can cause a marriage to have never taken place would be if one of the spouses did not intend to enter into marriage. Marriage is a forever agreement that is marked by fidelity, openness to children, a partnership of life. What if one of the spouses is not desiring that and is saying, I only want to get out of my house and live with you for 5 years until it no longer works, until I only intend to live with you until I'm no longer happy. I'm not intending this partnership of the whole of life. I'm intending the partnership of 5 years, 10 years. Maybe it'll work for 15. Maybe it'll end up working until we die. I don't know, but I only intend for it to be married to you as long. That's going to be a lot harder to prove. But once we come up with that proof and we say, yeah, that is what the case was, well, then that's not marriage. We thought they were getting married. Everybody at the wedding assumed you meant what you said. You said the words, I will love you and honor you all the days of my life. But if you were lying, and we can come up and we can say, yeah, that was a lie. Well, then they didn't enter into marriage. They entered into something that looked like marriage, smelled like marriage, tasted like marriage. The cake was good, but it wasn't actually marriage. And so God did not join them in marriage because they weren't intending. One of them wasn't intending marriage. But that's going to take a little bit more time to prove that. They're going to have to maybe interview, the best friend who was talking with the spouse, who remembers that conversation they had. Oh yeah, this isn't going to work. I'm out in 5 years. They're going to have to, and this is what the church will do in those cases. You'll say, please, would you interview my best friend? Would you interview my dad who told me, don't worry, if it doesn't work, you can always get divorced later and, move on once you get, be happy. Which, unfortunately, we live in a society where dads do say that sometimes to their daughters, where best friends do say that, and people do enter into this sham. For different reasons. Not here to discuss and judge all of them, but there are times where what looks like a marriage is not actually a marriage. And so if it's null from the beginning, once we discover that nullity, there's nothing wrong with it, with acting as if it was null, which it was, and saying you're now free, you can enter into an actual marriage. Oftentimes, you're going to need counseling, right, to deal with whatever the wounds are, in which case the church will suggest, sometimes even mandate, get the counseling you need before you try to contract marriage again. But, so, the last thing, just as a point of topic, it's very interesting. I'd love to spend a whole hour and a half talking about the science of non-procreative technologies, treating human births not as procreation, but simply as human reproduction, be it in vitro fertilization or intrauterine insemination, surrogacy. It's a huge field. I find it fascinating. Maybe it's because of my biology, but what we want to think is that the child's dignity is that they ought to be a result of love between an act of love between the father and the mother who are married together, and that we don't get involved in that. Can we assist that activity to take place? Yes. So there would be nothing wrong with, for example, those medicines which assist men to do what men are meant to do, but sometimes they struggle to do. Nothing wrong with helping a man to do what he's meant to do. Or if there's, lubricant, now I'm getting very biological, I'm sorry. These things are fine to help everybody to do what they're meant to do. That kind of technology, fine. Even using, like we were, looking at a man and saying, you're low testosterone. How about you take more? Looking at a woman, you don't have enough progesterone. Let's give you progesterone shots or estrogen shots or all the different chemicals and hormones. And assisting, always allowed. Replacing, not allowed. Assisting humans to do what humans are meant to do, 2 thumbs up. Saying, you're not going to do it, we're going to do it for you, 2 thumbs down. And I could talk to you about that for like hours and hours, but it is 11 o'clock. So thank you all for your time and attention. A couple of you, if I could talk to you at some point, it doesn't have to be today. I need your baptismal certificate. And we will meet together tomorrow, next Saturday for the last of the commandments.